Good afternoon and welcome to the Knox County Tennessee Achieves update for 2021. I am Krissy DeAlejandro, the Executive Director of Tennessee Achieves. Thrilled to be with you this afternoon, and sad we're not all together in person, but excited to continue the conversation truly that we've been having in Knox County since 2007, 2008, when we first launched Knox Achieves. So this is my hometown, so this is an incredibly important conversation to have today, especially regarding where we are in light of COVID-19, a time of learning loss, a time of decreased college going, but also I think a time of opportunity where we can take an all hands on deck approach to this work. So I'm really excited to dig in, to talk you through progress, because how we looked 13 years ago when I started this journey is very different than how we look now. And much of that can be attributed to meetings like this, where we ask for your direct feedback and input. So please ask questions along the way. This is a webinar format, so what we will ask is that you include the questions in either the Q&A section or the chat feature of this Zoom, and at the end of about a 10 or 15 minute presentation, I will then dig into all your feedback. And so this has been a really fun day for me. This is my 4th Local Advisory Council county update, and so saving the best for last on Tuesday. Next slide, Emily. I think it's always important to remind our stakeholders, especially those who are newer to the Tennessee Achieves orbit, that we exist as a 501c3 nonprofit working in partnership with the state, but we're not actually a state entity. We raise dollars privately for the majority of operations here at Tennessee Achieves. So while we work closely with the state, we are actually governed by our own separate board of directors. As I said in my opening comments, launched in 2008, in Knox County with 493 applicants the first year, but now have served nearly 450,000 students across the state of Tennessee. So it just continues to be this incredibly mind-blowing but exciting journey as we work to increase the percent of students across Tennessee earning a college credential. Next slide. So as I said, we are the partnering organization to the state's Tennessee Promise Scholarship Program in 90 of Tennessee's 95 counties, but that is just one piece of a very large Tennessee Achieves puzzle. Since inception, what we knew is that if we wanted to move the college going, college retention, and college completion needles, that we would need to inject more than simply dollars. So while funding is the carrot via the Tennessee Promise Scholarship, we rely heavily on what we refer to as the heart of our program, our volunteer mentoring program, which we will talk about later. But since inception, nearly 72,000 mentors have been recruited and trained to work alongside their students. I love the localness of our volunteer mentoring program. So mentors in Knox County are working along Knox County students, understand their dynamic, understand the community. And I think that is such a value add when you begin your journey with each cohort of students. Second, and also since inception, we have been rooted in a philosophy of cultivating a culture of giving back to our students. So we do require 8 hours of community service. This is an amazing complement to much of the work we do. We do survey our students when they submit their community service, and 96% of them say they enjoy the community service. So again, we're hoping to cultivate this culture of lifelong giving among our students. We also, in the beginning, in the early days, lifted up a summer bridge program. The first summer bridge happened at Pellissippi State in the Knox County backyard. to address remediation challenges that we saw our students facing that ultimately decreased their chances of earning a college credential. So we created a 3-week academic boot camp that focused on English, math, and reading for our students, and have now spread that important program across the state, thanks to our General Assembly members who have been incredible in their support of that initiative. We also created 5 years ago a summer institute to serve the urban core in Memphis. This is a much more intensive program. It's anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks, but it's credit bearing. And that program, I'm happy to report, this year had a 100% success rate. Every student not only eliminated remediation, but also began the college just yesterday with 9 credit hours under their belt. So students who would have began behind have actually now started ahead of their peers. And we love this program and are hoping to spread it across the state. We also engineered a homegrown online summer bridge program this year. So we had 3 summer options for our students, combined with an 88% success rate of students either testing out of remediation or improving their test scores. My favorite stat, though, is that we surveyed the students prior to the beginning of their program. 15% reported that they were confident about going to college, and at the end, we landed at 96% confidence level about preparation for college. So in my mind, that social emotional support is even a bigger win than the academic support that Summer Bridge provides. And then we have also lifted up an intrusive, proactive coaching model for our lowest income students. Our most economically disadvantaged students tend to be the first to leave the post-secondary pipeline without earning any type of credential. And so for us, it was a true, how do we create a non-academic program that could really knock down many of the barriers our students were facing? Thus, Complete was born. It is very much a model that looks at a holistic approach to student success, and we're seeing a great amount of progress for the students we serve under that umbrella. And finally, and I always sort of really lean into this, much of what we do is possible at the scale at which we work because of the targeted communication that we have here. And we can really dig into exactly where a student is along those critical milestones from high school to post-secondary, because we have data that informs not only our team, but our mentors who can dig in with students. And we're thrilled about how far we've come in that data space as well. Next slide. So digging into the reach, 90 counties, 74 rural, 35 at-risk or distressed, 601 high schools currently being served by Tennessee Achieves. Under the Tennessee Promise umbrella, there are 67 institutions. 79%, no surprise, of our students are choosing to attend a community college, most often in their backyard. 10% are enrolling at a 4-year institution, taking advantage of the Tennessee Promise caveat, where a student can enroll at a 4-year institution that offers an associate's degree program. And then finally, the final 11% at one of our state's technical colleges or Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology. Next slide. So as I said, we serve about 90,000 students every year if you combine our college students with our high school students, but about 60,000 students annually applying for the Tennessee Promise program. This translates into 89% of high school students being touched by the Tennessee Achieves program in some way, which is just insane. Talk about needle moving kind of work. If we get this right, we ultimately are truly moving the needle in many of the key metrics across the state of Tennessee. The 89% translates into Tennessee Achieves students comprising 78% of first-time, full-time freshmen at our state community colleges, and even more important, 86% of community college grads are Tennessee Achieves students. 56% of our students are considered economically disadvantaged as measured by federal Pell eligibility. 40% of students identify, like me, as the first in their family to go to college. And finally, I recently presented to the National Science Board, and they asked the question of us of how many or what percentage of our students were majoring in health science or STEM related fields. And to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised that it was 51%. I will tell you that of the 51, 27% of that is the health related fields, and it makes me thrilled for our workforce partners who continue to tell us that there's a significant nursing shortage. So our students are headed into fields with family sustaining wages and into careers where they can sustain for a long time. So really great data there. $32 million being spent on the Tennessee Promise Scholarship every year, with Tennessee Achieves raising an additional $2.5 million for our annual operating budget. Next slide. So I thought it'd be really great for you to get a glimpse into demographics broken down statewide, but also by Knox County specific. And so you can look here, Knox County being slightly more white than our statewide average in terms of just students who are taking advantage of the program. We're also in Knox County of a slightly higher income and also less likely to be a first generation, coming from a first generation family. Next slide. Also, really great news here, Knox County, like truly blowing it out of water with the free application for federal student aid file rate. I will tell you, as someone who has spent the last 13 years working with many school counselors under the KCS umbrella, that this is a huge testament to their tireless efforts. It's also very much a testament to aligned and coordinated efforts between K-12, post-secondary, Tennessee Achieves, and our state partners, all of whom are pulling in the same direction in this space for students. What once was a barrier for our students is no more in Tennessee for the overwhelming majority. Most states would be thrilled to hit 50%, and Tennessee continues to lead the country. So kudos to Knox County for even exceeding statewide measurements on FAFSA completion. Randy Boyd, the chairman of our board, calls Tennessee Achieves the largest community service organization in the state. No surprise there with our 3.4 million hours given back by our students, 212,000 alone in Knox County since inception. I don't know that Randy is accurate, but no one has told us otherwise. So we're running with the accolade until we hear differently. Next slide. In terms of student progress, walking you through Knox County, again, Knox County, because we had Knox Achieves, we had 6 years really of Tennessee Promise in Knox County prior to the launch of Tennessee Promise. And so we are well versed in Tennessee Promise application in terms of completion in a timely fashion. Again, a huge testament to K-12 leadership, both in principal as well as in counselor troops on the ground. So about every student, normally we're in the mid-90s in terms of percent of students applying for Tennessee Promise. You can see that translating into about 1,400 students utilizing the Tennessee Promise program. And I always want to say, for many students, this is their plan B. So they apply, they complete their FAFSA, they work with their mentor, and then they never complete their community service because they have intentions to attend the University of Tennessee or ETSU or Carson Newman or Maryville College, right? Colleges outside of the Tennessee Promise umbrella. And those are huge wins. We see those as significant steps for our students, and certainly celebrate students who attend college outside of Promise eligibility. Those numbers would not be reflected in that 1,400 number. First year retention, right on state average at 66% with a 3-year graduation rate, slightly above the statewide average. at 37%. Still more work to be done there, but I will tell you, when I stepped into this space in 2008, the 3-year graduation rate was 14%. So we're not thrilled with 37. We have more work to do, but we've come a long way. Next slide. So just really briefly to walk you through some additional statistics, 53% of students who are landing at a community college are returning the next year. If you provide them with the tnAchieves treatment, think about it that way, if they go through the tnAchieves program, that increases from 53% to 67%. So our students are very much outperforming that general first-time full-time freshman number at our state's community colleges. You can also see here a 51% 6-year graduation rate versus 35. So again, students who are participating with tnAchieves are going on to transfer, and capturing that 6-year graduation rate we feel is incredibly important. Still not thrilled with 51%, more work to do, but again, I do think about how far our students have come. To walk you very quickly through some impacts on those student programs I was talking about at the top of this presentation, summer programs have increased our first-year retention by 34%. Complete, the coaching model, has increased our first-year retention by 23%. And Knox Promise, which I've talked about all day, but not with Knox County residents, has increased our retention by 42%. So you take this 53% of students enrolling at a community college and students who receive Knox Promise, which has a dedicated coach for every student, regardless of income. So we have 5 specifically in Knox County. They also have access to completion grant aid, which is oftentimes referred to as emergency aid in the higher education orbit. For us, those students are retaining at 78%. So like game-changing kind of work, thanks to the Haslam Foundation, Family Foundation, that said yes to us launching this important pilot and allowing us to innovate and create a proof point that we're hoping to spread across the state. Next slide. Okay, so let's break the numbers down here in Knox County by ethnicity. You know, I think no surprise to anyone on this call, anyone who's even involved slightly with education, we have some serious equity gaps that we need to address. That is true statewide. It is also true in Knox County. If you just simply draw out first-year retention for our Black students versus our white students, you can see first-year retention for white students 68% versus our Black students at 52%. So a significant gap there that strategies like Knox Promise is looking to close. We are intentionally building programs that seek to close the achievement gap, as well as many equity gaps that exist in the higher education space. So always want to be incredibly transparent, know that we're watching the numbers, we're crunching the numbers, and we're trying to create programming to directly address the gaps that we are seeing in this space. Next slide. So a somber slide for many counties across the state, certainly a somber slide for me and the team at tnAchieves. You can see that 2014, 2015 jump in our state's college going rate, significant, unprecedented kind of jump that was unfortunately erased this year due to the effects of COVID. We are hopeful that this 21 cohort at least remains on par with that 57% college going rate, and thinking through proactive strategies on how to create a new value proposition for students to bring them back into the post-secondary pipeline. Good news, and you know, I'm not an economist, and if my friend Bill Fox was on here, he would probably come for me in many ways, but I'd like to think that part of this increase from 61 to 63% was due to, from 19 to 20, was due to the work of Knox Promise and the coaches. We have 5 amazing coaches being led by a young woman named JC Skelton, who has really dug into this program and is doing some truly game-changing modeling so that we know exactly where students are in real time and can continue to knock down barriers, keeping them from earning that all-important post-secondary credential. So 64% not good enough in my mind. At one point, we had hit 68% in Knox County. I think we could hit 70% or more. So more work to be done there, but certainly didn't see the loss that we saw in many communities across Tennessee. Next slide. I would be remiss, and Tyler Ford and Graham Thomas, Graham, who many of you know, has been here 12 years. We have to talk about mentoring. For the class of 2022, the application is open now. It closes on December 3rd. You can see here, although the roles are the same, that task manager, making sure students are meeting critical deadlines, being a resource for students. And then what I always think is the most critical piece, the encouragement piece, normalizing college. We all failed our first math test, for example, an important message for many of our students to hear. Those stay the same. Delivery is different. Last year, we lifted up an apparatus, a platform called tnAchieves Connect, and I love it. I mean, truly been game changing. I've heard nothing but rave reviews so far. I love that it places all the students that a mentor has been assigned in one place. I love that you can video chat or just chat directly with students and families. That will continue to be an option for all mentors. We will offer it to all mentors, and we will stress the importance of that interaction with students this year in new and creative ways. We will also offer two separate options. One will be an open house at the post-secondary institutions, a meaningful experience for our students who are hoping to land at our state's community colleges, but also a chance for mentors and students to interact in an impactful way there. We will lift those up in March and April of next year. We will also begin encouraging in a deeper way, one-to-one with students and mentors. So this has always been an option in the past, or 1 to 5 if you want to take all your students to pizza or coffee. We will just ask mentors not to ever put the student in the car and to always meet in a public place, but also an important component. And I continue to love all the graphics that Ben with our team continues to build out. Next slide. 649 mentors needed in Knox County. Again, the application is open and available, December 3rd being the deadline. Next slide. So what can you do? In many ways, to me, this feels like a call to action, right? Like we're in an unprecedented time, specifically in the higher education space. So if you're not already a mentor, become a mentor, renew if you haven't already done that yet. For those returning mentors who we continue to be so grateful for, share the opportunity with your friends. That is an incredibly important piece. The only reason we're here where we are, having recruited nearly 72,000 mentors, is because our mentors tell their friends and their colleagues and their families. So utterly thankful for that. And again, this time feels more important than ever. Connecting us with your communities, making sure that our story can be told to Rotaries or church groups. I mean, we have gotten where we are because we continue to say yes to any door that's open for us. There's a whole team here that continues to wake up every day and think about volunteer mentor recruitment because we know how incredibly important that is. So continuing not only to tell the mentor story, but again, these numbers about equity gaps and where we are in college going right. I think all of that is really important to ensure momentum. And then finally, sharing the importance of the Promise application. It's open for the class of 2022. So that application closes on November 1. So if you know a high school senior or a high school senior mama, please make sure that they are aware that this program and scholarship are now available via the Tennessee Promise application. Next slide. This is my contact information. That is my cell phone that I think has been my cell phone number since we launched this program. And so feel free to reach out to me anytime. You can call me, you can text me. Also, certainly feel free to email me. I'm happy to take any questions via chat that you may have. Anything? Hey, Emily.
We had one comment from John Hudson. He said, Connect is an excellent platform. Kids have some issues early on with the student using the video call feature. And we're going to reach out to him after and see if that student still has any issues logging on to Connect.
That's so great, John. And someone in Roane County today suggested that we make this an app as opposed to something they log into. And so lots of really great feedback about Connect.
Definitely. That is all I see in the chat and Q&A at the moment.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you all so much. You guys continue to be the reason we can do this work. I see my friend Anthony Wise is on here. Hey, Anthony. He's truly an incredible president and does such great work at Pellissippi State. So again, thanks for all you do. And if you have any questions, please reach out. We're incredibly grateful. Happy Tuesday.